Hello and welcome to Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Mark Gillen of the 128th District in Berks County. I recently attended the 97th Pennsylvania Farm Show in Harrisburg. This is the premier event for agriculture, which is the Commonwealth's #1 industry. The dual mission of the show is to highlight and honor our farmers and food producers while educating the non-farming public about the industry. Let's take a few moments to hear about some current farming issues from the Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, George Gregg. I'm so pleased that you took a few minutes with me. I know your schedule's very busy. Give us a little bit of backdrop of what's happening in here and how long it's been going on, Secretary.
All right. First, welcome you to the 97th Pennsylvania Farm Show. They started having farm shows in 1917, and each year the farm show is a little bit different. And this year is including. A lot of people come here. It's a tradition for them, and farmers come to visit with old friends and compete with other farmers for the top honors in Pennsylvania. So we have 6,000 head of livestock here. We have 10,000 competitive exhibits, and we have 300 commercial exhibits here at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. You can get any kind of food you wanted here in Pennsylvania, and you can see a showcase of all of Pennsylvania agriculture.
Wonderful. Let's personalize this a little bit. You say it's a tradition. You come from a farming family. Can you share some personal inside information, if you will, about your history and background with the farm show prior to becoming the Secretary of Agriculture?
Okay. I come from a dairy farm, 650-acre farm in western Crawford County, 4 miles from the Ohio border, so I'm just inside of Pennsylvania. But when I was growing up, when I was in school, I won at the Crawford County Fair, and the winners from the fair go to district, and the district winners come to the farm show. So this is competition for the best of Pennsylvania. So I was in that. I still own a farm in Crawford County in partnership with my brother. My wife and I live there when I'm not doing the Secretary of Agriculture job, but for right now I have a place in Harrisburg that I stay because we don't make it home too much.
So it's fair to say this is in your bloodstream. This isn't a job. This is your lifestyle, agriculture.
That's right, and you know, it's all about service. I've got a chance to do some good for agriculture, for the farmers, and for the citizens of Pennsylvania. We, at the Department of Agriculture, our main core mission is consumer protection and food safety. And so when I get the chance to make sure that our food is safe, make sure that our farmers receive a good price for their products, and make sure that the consumers get a dollar's worth of goods when they pay for it, I feel like that I have done well. So.
Food safety, it's an economic engine that drives the economy here in Pennsylvania, and it's about families. As you walk around here, you see so many men and women with their children. You see the rich tradition. You talk to people at the booths, and you find out that they've been coming to this thing for 20, 30 years. How about your children? Have they followed you in agriculture, and would we find them at the show?
My daughter was here. I have 6 children, but most of them are grown, and they're not involved in agriculture. But my youngest daughter, Rachel, is in FFA, and she was at we had the midwinter convention here on Monday, I believe it was, and so she's been down here. She went home yesterday, but it's a great event. You know, there's so many things going on here at Farm Show. We had the midwinter convention for FFA. There was 4,000 students in FFA, and we awarded over 300 of them with a Keystone degree, which is the highest degree that they can get in Pennsylvania. We also had 4 new chapters, and we had it had to be 50 FFA students get their jackets for the first time. So I think the future of agriculture looks bright in Pennsylvania.
Maybe I should be asking my colleagues this question, but I'll raise it with you. There's 24 acres under roof here. It's the largest agricultural exposition under roof in the United States. I don't know where we stand in world rankings, but at what point do we need to expand what we're doing here, substantively improve? When we're increasing the attendance by double digits, there has to reach a point that we're pressing against the seams. When does that occur? Has it already occurred?
I have no idea how we're going to better this. You know, this is a team effort. I can't take the credit for all this. I have a huge staff that works night and day. They're here till 9 o'clock at night, you know, alongside of me, and we just have to see what our options are. But I welcome that idea. That's great.
It's going to require some appropriation, so I'll have to discuss it with my colleagues. It's certainly a must-stop, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for many people who travel outside of this area and even come from other countries. Have you had intersections with folks from Canada, Mexico, or Europe during the course of your tenure as Agriculture Secretary at this farm show?
Yes, I have. Just the day before yesterday, the governor was meeting with some Canadian consulates, and he told that they're involved in agriculture. He told them they have to stop at the farm show. They came while I was while I was handing out the ribbons for the Supreme Beef Champion. They got their pictures taken with me in the small arena, and they were just tickled because they could not believe the amount of agriculture that's here in one state. You know, so we compare to. I've had people tell me Australia, the Australian Minister for Agriculture and Food Security told me that we probably have more agriculture in Pennsylvania than they do in Australia, which is, I haven't seen any of the figures, but that's a whole continent. So he said a lot of it's the outback and not decent land, but
it sounds like it comes as a bit of a surprise to people from faraway places as they're visiting when you think about Pennsylvania perhaps as an Australian or a European. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, urbanized area, suburban sprawl. Is your sense they're missing a bigger picture of agriculture in Pennsylvania?
Well, I think that our American farmer has to be patted on the back for their productivity. It's not just those countries that I talked about. There's a lot of other countries that have met with me, wanted me to travel to their country to tell them, you know, what they can do to improve their productivity. But it's just a way of life in America and in Pennsylvania. So I think that, you know, we take for granted what we have here. In some other countries, they don't have what we do.
When you message to these other individuals, I imagine there's a certain marketing component. Pennsylvania hardwoods, Pennsylvania products, Pennsylvania mushrooms, whatever it happens to be. How are we doing on the marketing side to expand agriculture, exporting to other places, other countries, as well as other states?
We have been doing good in that area. When I first came on, I said I wanted to work in marketing because our farmers are such good producers, but they're not so good at marketing. We got the PA Preferred Bill passed, but we have also been working on exporting dairy replacement heifers to other countries. In 2011, we exported 61,000 head of dairy replacement heifers. They did not all come from Pennsylvania. However, because of our proximity to the docks, and you know, they have to be quarantined within a certain number of hours from the dock. So we're using that advantage to increase our exports. We have also been working on exports with Northeast Dairy Export, or Northeast Export Incorporated, which helps all of our processors and our farmers increase their exportation.
Couple wrap-up questions, and you've been very generous with your time. You are a municipal official now, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how you pull all that off. I was a former borough councilman and a county official, but now I'm just a state legislator. With regard to your intersection with government, we often think of a new law that needs to be passed. What regulations do you see as potential obstacles, and what can we be looking at legislatively? I know inheritance tax with regard to the farm. Are there some logical legislative steps that can be taken in terms of mandate relief and the kind of pressures that farmers are under? We've been, I think, progressive legislatively with allowing farmers to move equipment over a wider distance. May not be something that occurs to you directly, but you see the arena of mandate is something we need to make progress with legislatively or municipally?
I think that regulations is probably the number one issue on farmers' minds these days, because there's so many regulations that have to be addressed when they do anything, expansion or anything that they do with their farm. And so I think that's a kind of a fine line that we have to walk. I know that a lot of the regulations are mandates down from the federal government, so I think that Pennsylvania is in pretty good shape, and I think that our legislators have been pretty common sense as far as regulations.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I've been pleased to visit with Secretary George Gregg, Secretary of Agriculture for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He's a public servant. He's my friend. We're delighted that you took time with us. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you.
You've been watching my discussion with Pennsylvania's Agriculture Secretary George Gregg. While I was at the farm show, I was also able to catch up with some Berks County folks. We'll hear from them in just a moment. But first, let's take a quick break. Legislative Report will be right back.
Did you know that Violet Oakley was the first female artist to receive a large commission for artwork done in a United States Capitol building? In 1902, Joseph Houston, designer and architect for the 3rd Harrisburg Capitol building, commissioned Violet Oakley to paint murals for the governor's reception room. He believed that Oakley's contribution would add interest to the building and act as an encouragement of women of the state. Prior to beginning her work for the Capitol, Oakley set out to England to conduct research for her murals. Upon return, she decided to center her artwork on William Penn and the founding of Pennsylvania. Oakley made sure that Penn's ideals of justice and peace could be seen throughout her work. In 1906, she completed 13 murals titled The Founding of the State of Liberty Spiritual, and was placed in sequential order around the governor's reception room. These murals were some of the first to be installed in the Capitol. When Edwin Austin Abbey, another artist for the Capitol, died in 1911, Oakley was offered another opportunity to create murals for the unfinished Senate and Supreme Court chambers. Her work on the Senate murals, including International Understanding, was completed by 1919. Oakley then completed the Supreme Court murals, including the Divine Law, by 1927. Oakley is said to be the principal artist for the Capitol, with a total of 43 murals on display. She remains one of the greatest muralists in the United States. Now you know.
Welcome back to the program. I'm State Representative Mark Gillen. I recently met up with members of the Twin Valley Future Farmers of America at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. I talked with advisor Nicole Weaver and 2 former students that hold state officer positions within FFA. Let's hear from them now. We're so pleased that you're able to join us here at the Farm Show today. Indeed, I brought my own daughter, and if we had any more room up here, she'd probably be with us. I'll start with Miss Weaver. How long have you been coming to the Farm Show? And perhaps could you share some special memories of visits here?
Sure. Well, I started coming to the Farm Show when I started teaching at Twin Valley, so this is my 9th year coming to Farm Show. And I would say the most memorable would be my first year. When I was 23 years old, I was only teaching for a couple months, and I had 50 kids here, and I had to try and keep track of them. That was a little overwhelming, but since then I've kind of learned the ropes. It's a lot lot more calm now. But it's truly a pleasure to, you know, have this event that kind of culminates in our year of work, and it's, you know, it's just great to be here.
So the big memory was coming away with the same 50 that you arrived with. You didn't lose them. And for those that haven't been here, it can almost be an overwhelming environment. But there's information booths, there's maps, there's guides, but it is 24 acres under several roofs here, and it's the largest agriculture exposition of its kind in the United States. So it really is without peer or parallel. So you're the ag teacher, you're the FFA advisor. What do you like personally? Looking at it through your own lens, there may be a variety of places that you like. Share some of your special visits here.
Well, one of my favorite things is the Midwinter Convention. With the FFA, it's held on Monday of the convention, and that's where our students get their Keystone degrees. There's a first-year jacket program now where students are able to apply to get their FFA jacket for free. They're sponsored by people across the state. That's always my proudest moment of Farm Show, because I see my students, my babies, up on stage getting that honor. A little tear comes to my eyes. So that's the most special moment for me. But then also, I love going shopping in the vendors section. Oh, some good stuff over there. And I discover something new every year, but you know, I love to cook, so I find all kinds of great, you know, new recipes and seasonings and great stuff back there. And of course, you cannot walk away from Farm Show without one of those milkshakes. I dream about those things all year long.
Well, let me go over this side just a minute and find out what these girls are dreaming about when they come to the Farm Show. How about you, Maris? You look around here, there's so much to do. You could literally spend several days here. What do you focus in on when you come to the Farm Show?
The thing that I focus in on the most is the different types of agriculture that are promoted here. It's so interesting to see all the different kinds of things that are in Pennsylvania that we have, and the people that you can talk to about what they do. It's very interesting to see what they get to do every day in their lives.
So you see this as interactive. I can relate to my daughter and I just a few minutes ago in the sheep area, and we just were asking question after question. And so really it's a wealth of information. It's a practical resource. And in terms of what you've learned here, Miranda, is there something that you've gained educationally from being here at the Farm Show?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of different industries in agriculture that you don't always get to see, and being able to go around and see, you know, the apples, and then there's the reptiles, and there's different things around the, you know, the whole Farm Show in general that you get to be able to see, and you get to touch that even if you're not involved with agriculture, where some people aren't as involved.
How long have you young ladies been coming to the Farm Show? How many years has it been for you, first, Maris?
I believe this is my 4th Farm Show. I first went when I was in 10th grade at Twin Valley High School.
I'd probably say the 4th or 5th time. I came my first time with my grandmother and my mom, and so I've come ever since then with my chapter ever since that time. So
wasn't that many years ago, but I have to say the first time I came here was as an adult. The experience was overwhelming. I didn't expect there to be that much here, and there was really something for everyone of all ages. Would you concur that anybody in Pennsylvania, regardless of where they live, would benefit from this experience? First, Miranda.
Sure. You know, just coming here and seeing the butter sculpture that's here, it's pretty amazing to see how someone can shape butter into something that's agriculturally related. Also, another big thing that I thought was really cool to see was the Today's Agriculture Shed, where they have different animals and different things that, you know, some city, more inner city kids might not get that chance to see them. So it's kind of cool to be able to go up and see what it all is about. So
I definitely have to agree that there's something here for everyone. Whether or not you're involved with the agriculture, you can come here and learn something new, or even maybe just go shopping like Mrs. Weaver does. Either way, there's something here for everyone.
Well, let me speak as a legislator just for a moment. I don't do a lot of shopping here, but I do have 4 daughters, so I can identify and relate closely to that. But as a legislator, I see agriculture as an engine that drives the Pennsylvania economy. Obviously, we're all eating, but it's providing innumerable jobs, millions of jobs for Pennsylvanians, and frankly, it's the backbone of this state economically. You're teaching, you're in the public schools. Obviously, you would aspire to inculcate as many of these agriculture values as you possibly can, but for many of the students, they'll go on to other careers and other vocations. What is it about FFA that's character building. What changes do you see during the course of these young people's tenure with you in FFA?
Well, first let me start by saying that only a fifth of all jobs in agriculture are production related, meaning on the farm. There are so many careers now that are in the field of agriculture but aren't, working on the farm. And every single one of those occupations and careers is highly valuable. Look at me. I'm an agriculturalist, but I'm not on the farm. I'm in the classroom every day. And I feel that my job is to teach these students to be advocates of agriculture, because you're absolutely right. This is the backbone of our economy and our state is agriculture. It's the most proud thing we have, and that's why the farm show is so great. And that's why FFA is so great. It takes students like these two young ladies who also never stepped foot on a farm before me, and they came into this organization where they learned how to be leaders, and they learned how to affect change, and they learned how to stand up for themselves and for what they believe in. And that's what makes me the most proud about FFA, is it takes these students and it makes them leaders. It makes them people who are going to go into their community, be advocates for agriculture, advocates for positive change, affect a great difference. And I couldn't be more proud of these ladies. They're serving as state officers right now, and I can't wait to see all the great things they're going to do in the next couple years. And it's my greatest pleasure as a teacher to know that I had some small little part to play in their lives. That's, there's nothing greater, nothing greater.
I think it's a significant role that you played, wouldn't you agree, ladies? And even in the few short years I've intersected with the ladies, I've sensed a change in maturity and poise. And I think FFA members and the FFA organization leaves an indelible etching and print on their lives. The young lady who spoke in front of the banquet today, she said in 9th grade she was afraid to get up and do any public speaking. Now she's in front of thousands of young people. And you see those kind of changes in these young ladies as well as your FFA members as well.
Absolutely, every day. It's great to see them as freshmen. I remember them as 9th graders, shy, quiet, and now you can't get them to stop talking. But it's an amazing thing to see how it can make students so powerful and so self-confident in their own abilities to be powerful. And there's nothing better. And at Twin Valley, I think that we do a great job of developing leaders, and that makes me very happy to be a part of it.
Before we go shopping again, and I know you're all anxious to do that, let me just ask a question or two about our own area, the Twin Valley School District. It's not Crawford County, it's not upstate Pennsylvania. We have a mix of suburban and rural primarily. We've got our Walmart there right on Route 23. What intersections have you had with agriculture? I'll ask the young ladies first, locally. It's a benefit to you. You've learned something. You've been able to get out in the field or the farm.
I think our area in general is very diverse. We come from, there's Reading, which is right up north from us, and that's more of the inner city kids. And then we go down to the towns and the farms and everything where, that's more of the rural kids that get to work on the farms every day, and they get to experience that agriculture in their own way. So we get a mix of everything, which is really unique about Twin Valley.
So there are opportunities still for someone to be involved in an agriculture vocation, to learn hands-on. Have you done any of that?
Yes, well, that's actually a big part of agricultural education in schools, is it gives all of the students a chance to learn about agriculture and find out that there's something for them to do in agriculture, whether or not they realized it before. But agriculture education in schools is a really awesome way for students, whether they live in the rural areas or the suburban areas, to learn a little bit more about what is in our area.
Finally, Nicole, as I think about our own community, I glanced across the hall while we were interviewing, and I saw Ed Weaver from Weaver's Orchards, and I buy my fruit and I buy my produce over there. Greg Eshelman, Christmas tree farmer. So when we think of the collar counties around Philadelphia, we're just one step departed from that, and there's a lot of growth pressure. With agriculture, conservation, easements, clean and green, there's a lot more being preserved. And so what do you see in our own area in terms of sustainable agriculture moving forward? And if Maris or Miranda wanted to stay and work a farm in the area, you think that's possible as we look to the future?
I absolutely do. I think we have some great agricultural enterprises in Berks County. You mentioned the Eshelmans. I buy my Christmas tree from them every year. I do go to Weaver's Orchard. They have great produce. I do the pick your own. That's one of my favorites. And so I think in the markets like those families have found a great way to preserve the heritage of agriculture and make it really effective in the modern society. People come down from Reading to go to those places and buy their produce and buy their trees. And people come up from Philadelphia to see those places. A friend of mine who lived in Pottstown, she came to Weaver's Orchard to get her kids to do the pick your own. And I think that Berks County has done a great job of showing that agriculture is vital to our survival, and has shown it to students like this that agriculture is something that should remain a steady part of our Berks County livelihood. And I think they've done a great job of that. And we also have a lot of family farms. We have students that raise their own dairy cattle and beef cattle, and we have students that raise their own ducks and chickens. And so there's a lot of small farming going on. So I think what's great about our county is, even though the modern part of the society has come in, we're still paying homage to those things that, create that vision of Americana, that perfect American lifestyle. So I personally love living in Berks County. I think it's one of the best counties in Pennsylvania, other than where I'm from.
I'm going to echo those comments about being a wonderful place to live, and it's certainly my great privilege to serve as your legislator in the 128th District. I have a special passion for Twin Valley High School and the FFA there. It's an outstanding program. We appreciate your leadership. And there's one thing a legislator never does. It stands between women and their shopping. You'll only lose votes that way. So it's been my great privilege to spend time with Miss Nicole Weaver and FFA students from Twin Valley High School. I'm Mark Gillen for the 128th Legislative District in Southern Berks County. You've been watching highlights from my visit to the 97th Pennsylvania Farm Show. While attending the farm show, I visited the legislative luncheon. I had the good fortune of spending a few extra minutes with my daughter there, who sat in on the luncheon. We heard from the governor, we heard from a United States senator, we heard from our congressman, and there's one theme that I heard from all of them: how important agriculture is to Pennsylvania. It is the economic engine that drives this state. Even in our own legislative district in Berks County, especially the southern portion of the district, you'll find marvelous agricultural enterprises. We still have dairies down there. There's a number of farm stands that provide us with fresh fruit and produce. I have a number of men and women who are serving in agriculture by producing Christmas trees. I'm a regular visitor to Weaver's Orchard and have frequent lunches there. I introduced legislation to sustain agriculture in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I amended Senate Bill 1298 to provide for agricultural roadside stands that are consistent with our clean and green program. I love living in the 128th Legislative District. I love our agricultural traditions, and we're going to do everything that we can to sustain it for future generations. That's all the time we have for today's program. I'm State Representative Mark Gillen. As you've watched this profile of the 97th Pennsylvania Farm Show, I hope you've gained a greater appreciation for agriculture and its importance to our Commonwealth. If you have any questions about today's program or any other state government matter, please contact me at my local office. The address and number will be shown in a moment. Thanks for watching, and please join me next time for another edition of Legislative Report.